Learners and viewers, welcome to this session. Myself, Dr. J. Uma, working in the School of Gender and Development Studies, Ignou. Today we are going to see the topic Gender and Media. This topic is part of the course, 6th credit course, Gender Sensitization, Society and Culture. Learners who have enrolled in the BA program, specifically on BA in Gender Studies, the learners who have enrolled in BA in Gender Studies, they have to learn this course in the first semester itself. Before I discuss the Gender and Media, I would like to give you the overview of the course. First, this course has 6 blocks. If you look at the block 1, we have introduced the gender related concepts and gender and sexualities and masculinities, how gender operates in everyday life. Once you have introduced the concepts related to gender, the second block is about the gender and family. In this block, you specifically learn about the various social institutions. In that social institutions, we will teach you how the gender interrelate with the various social institutions, as well as how the patriarchy operates with various social institutions. The third block is about the gender and work. Here we start with defining what is work. After introducing the concept of work, you will learn about various issues related to gender and work, specifically gender issues in work and labor market. Next block is about the health and gender. Here you will learn reproductive health and rights, as well as gender and disability. And fifth block is about the gender law and society. Here you learn about gender-based violence as well as sexual harassment in workplace. After learning about the block till block 5, the last block is about gender representation in media. Today's topic is part of this last block, that is block 6. In this block, there are 3 units. One is about the gender and language. Second unit is about gender and media. Last block is about reading and visualizing gender. I have given the course outline. Specifically today, we discuss about the last block, that is gender representation in media. Learning outcome of this session is to demonstrate the relationship between gender and language, describe gender differences in language use, explain the role of media in representation of genders, and explain how the media influences. These are the learning outcome of this specific session. You all must be knowing that when we talk about the gender and media, specifically the discipline of gender studies, women's studies, gender and development studies are most debated discipline in the contemporary world. These disciplines, they discuss and they deeply analyzes how the media and various institutions operate and interrelate with gender, specifically how the patriarchy operates through these institutions. Thus, today, specifically, we discuss about the relationship between gender and language, describe gender differences in language use, and how the role of media represent genders and how the media influences us. When we talk about gendering the language, usually, why do we use language? Language used for communication. So, men, women use language for communications. Though they both use same language to communicate, and its pattern changes according to the genders of the speaker or writer. When we talk about gender, you all must be learning about the difference between the sex and gender. You all know sex. When we use the term sex, it's a biological self. When it comes to gender, gender is a socio-cultural construct. This means that it is the process of social training. When the child born, immediately what we ask we don't talk about the gender. Immediately we ask whether the child is a male or a female. After the child is born, the boy or a girl brought up according to the socio-cultural norms of his or her society with them, if it's a girl child, in most of the societies, immediately they relate that particular girl child with the pink color, and they try to buy a certain toys, and they make her to, the society makes her to expect and behave in a certain way. Same like if it's a boy, then immediately we relate the boy with the certain color and as well as the various social, specifically the family. They buy certain kinds of toys. In this way, the child is brought up in a certain manner. This socio-cultural, this socialization process impacts child in a different manner. Like, do you know, the feminist Simone de Beauvoir wrote, "One is not born, rather it becomes a woman." So when we born, we are not socialized in a certain way, but we became a woman by socializing in a certain way. Same like it comes to, when it comes to language, all of us, we use language for communication, but the same language will communicate in a different way. It changes, the pattern will changes according to the gender of the speaker or writer. That we need to understand it. I would like to give a small example, like when a man will say close the door. So man always will say directly, he will say the like close the door or shut the door, like that. When it comes to female or a woman, they say that will you please close the door, or like they never use the like use in a very masculine term, or the women, they rarely use in a very authoritative language. With a so pleasing, they women mostly they use the language. So like when you see the first sentence, close the door, the second sentence the women will say that will you please close the door. The difference between these sentences shows that assertion and authority of the speaker. And when it comes to women, then it shows that more polite, it denotes hesitation and lack of authority. So the language same, closing the door is the same, but the way they use that sentence differs based on the gender. Next significant thing you need to understand is the gender boundaries. These gender boundaries also, it's related to ideas. They are not physical or geographical. Gender, when we talk about the gender boundaries, it is not about the physical boundaries. It is not about the geographical boundaries. They are called as conceptual. These gender boundaries also, it can change over a period of time. For example, few decades back, women or girls, they rarely they wear pants or jeans. Now everybody, all of them, all the girls, women, they wear jeans. As well as like few decades back, men usually they don't wear earrings. Now everybody, it's became a fashionable to wear the earrings for the male members also. So it changes, gender boundaries changes over a period of time. So whatever we do, whatever we can do, whatever we can do or whatever we do, it changes over a period of time. So gender boundaries, it changes over a period. That we need to understand that. Next significant component when we discuss about the gender and media, that is gender identity. When you talk about the gender identity, it is a person's inner sense of being male or female. And this inner sense of being male and female, it has developed from the childhood, and it's like this gender identity also, like there are certain markers with regard to gender identity like voice, physique, dress, hairstyle, behavior, the language we use, these all part of the gender identity. Next significant concept you need to understand before we discuss about gender and media is the gender stereotype. This gender stereotype is, what is it means? It is widely held beliefs about the abilities, characteristics and social behaviors of girls and boys, at men and women, such as women have to be like, what is the expectation of our society? We expect women have to be pretty, delicate, and men has to be, they should be dominant and they should be powerful. We always relate male members with the masculine characters and female with the like a feminine characters. They have to, when we talk, they have to talk very slowly. They should not be very authoritative, as well as they should be very delicate, and they should be pretty, and the society expects the women to dress up in a certain way, and they have to eat in a certain way. Even some of the societies, they expect the women to maintain a certain weight. All those things, these are the certain expectations from the male and female members in the society. This is called the stereotype. These stereotypes over a period of time, again and again, it is the society expect these stereotypes has to be repeated among male and female. Based on these stereotypes, male and female, they are socialized in a certain way and they expect to behave in a certain way. This is called the gender stereotype. Next significant significant thing you need to understand is that gender ideology. What is gender ideology? It is defined as the set of attitudes and values about the proper role of women and men in the family and society. When you talk about the gender ideology, it is about the values. The male means they have to follow certain values and they have to expect to do certain things, and they expect to go out, work, and they are supposed to take care of the entire family. When it comes to female, the society expects the female to follow certain kinds of certain values. I could give you the one example. When we talk about male, immediately what comes to our mind is these stereotypes via they should be competitive or aggressive. When we talk about women, what comes to our mind is that they have to be patient and tolerant. This is called the gender ideology. So when we talk about this gender ideology, gender stereotype, gender identity, you could immediately relate these concepts with the media. Various types of media, whether it's a print media, television media, now social media, all these medias, they try to again and again socialized individual in a certain way. They try to portray male in a certain way. They try to portray female in a certain way. This media, since it is portraying each individual in a certain way, entire society has to be socialized that way. If someone is deviate from the existing expectations or existing values, the society may not be consider them as part of the society. This is the problem. So male-female difference in the use of language. Like now we learnt about various concepts related to gender and media. Then now we need to understand that how the male and female use the language differently. Like do men and women speak different language? Do you think like that? Or do they use language differently? Is there gender bias in English language? These are the three questions certainly comes to your mind when we talk about the gender and media. And next significant thing you need to understand is that is language sexist. Sexist language is a language which excludes women and consider men as the norm. It shows that gender bias. Like for example, the sentence, if in a classroom, like it's a mixed group, even though it is a mixed group, most of the time what happens is that like each student must write his name on the paper. When you look at this sentence, what comes to our mind is that the entire only male members are occupying the entire classroom. But that is not true. It's a mixed group, both male and female and other genders also part of the classroom. But due to the use of language in a certain sexist manner, what happens is that the teacher, since the teacher is not aware about the existing language, how they have to use the language, mostly they use that like a mostly male language, they try to use it. What happens is that each student must write his name on the paper, leads the reader to assume that all the students are males. The presence of female students is not considered. This exclusion is devaluing. It encourages the discrimination and it's also offending. This is the significant aspects you need to understand. So, now, next significant thing is that what are the factors influencing the language? First is the biological factors, that is related to voice, phonology and intonation, and cultural factors that you need to. For example, I'll give you certain examples from literature. Examples from literature will illustrate the above points. Like you all must have read the novel To Kill a Mockingbird. In that particular novel, the girl protagonist and always upbrains her to speak proper ladylike language and criticize her for tomboyish activities. Here what comes to her mind is that it is the power and dominance factors. So the auntie try to make that particular girl to behave in a certain way. And next we will learn about the gender difference in vocabulary. Men use hard and aggressive expressions like damn, shit to express anger or frustration. And women would never use these tabooed words that are rated as slang. Rarely the women use this language. Women usually go for a harmless expressions like oh, ah. These tabooed words and slang are found more in men's speech than in women, though they may not be same educational level or social class. For example, when a woman is frightened, she will shout, oh, how frightened I am. When the same thing, when the man frightened, man would only say, oh, damn it. They rarely admit that individual, that man is frightened, because they have socialized in a certain way that when it comes to male members, the society expect them not to cry, not to show their frightened, like they are not supposed to show that they are frightened. They should not cry. They should not show their emotions. These are the certain things the society expects from the male members. So they should be very aggressive. They have to behave in a certain way. These characteristics, that values, whatever the values society expects from the male members and female members, that is again and again portrayed in the media, and we think that we cannot change those values. So women, they are supposed to follow certain values, and the men, they are supposed to follow certain values. This is what we are expect to do, but this is not true. Certainly the male members also, they can show their, like if they frighten, they can show their, if they feel like crying, they can also, male members also, they can cry, they can show their emotions. That in that way gender comes. When you study the gender, you are theoretically as well as how the society expects to do the certain things. By understanding the existing socialization process, our learners could able to understand that this could be changed. The emotions and the other values are equally for the same for male, female and other genders also. Like when it comes to colors also, women use blue, lavender and azure color. And not only colors, when it comes to usage of adjectives, adverbs, like certain words related to swear, explicatives, modulations, everything, when it comes, we expect we think that there should be differences between male and female. When it comes to interrogative sentence, compared to men, the women more likely to use the interrogative sentence to express their ideas. They use tag questions because the tag questions can make the tone less tense. When it comes to imperative sentences give a command or order. Since in the society, the women hold a subordinate position in the patriarchal society, they are trained to not to order about. A study showed that in a conversation, women use the let us pattern of sentence such as let us go out for a long drive. That is usually the women use it. When it comes to boy or a man, they used to say directly, today we are going for a long drive. This is the difference between the usage of language between male and female, and how this language will have an effect on media. Media affects human mind and the way we behave and act in a society. This is very important. This is the first thing. Media influences us. Each and every individual get influenced by the media. That's why we need to study media critically. The degree of influence depends upon the availability and pervasiveness of media. All the traditional mass media still have a great influence on our life. For example, women in the media. Women are also the potential victims of media's influence over society. Like how the media portrays women, the portrayal of women as a sexual figures in popular culture is also a threat to the well-being of our society. Like frequently women are depicted or portrayed in some form of sexual representation in most of the media. This portrayal has created a standard for the ideal female image that women are compared to be by themselves or others. That media portrays the women have to be in a certain way. Again and again, if the media portrays the same image, media means including cinema and mass media, and these days in the 21st century you are looking at the various social media also, they have portrayed women in a certain way. If the women are not, like what happened is that this portrayal created the standard. Then it comes to our mind. Women means they have to be in a certain way. That ideal image, it comes to our mind. If some women, if they are not in that ideal image, and they try to compare themselves with the others, they try to compare the women, they try to compare themselves with the cine actresses, or they themselves compare themselves with certain like mass media shows the certain characters, they try to compare themselves with that characters. So one research claims that this sexualized image of women in media serve as a models of femininity for females, especially young girls who are still developing their sense of self. If they more and more, if the young girls, if they try to watch more and more certain kind of cinema or certain kind of soap opera, these young girls exposed to these models may face a future problems in mental and sexual development. Research also links exposure to sexualized female ideals with a lower self-esteem, negative mood, and depressive symptoms among adolescent girls and women. So in that way, the media try to objectify women. Then feminist scholars also, they say that this objectification of women involves the act of disregarding the personal and intellectual abilities like a male members. That's why the one phrase it widely they talk about in the society, that means male members are, they are rational, the women are emotional. It is not true. Female also rational, they are also intellectual, they have an intellectual abilities and capabilities, but most of the time we are disregarding the female's intellectual abilities and capabilities. Instead we we equate the women with the we objectify women in the media. The same image, the young girls, they want to be like that image, whatever portrayed in the media. So thus we are disregarding the women's personal and intellectual abilities and capabilities, reducing women's worth or their role in the society, and they are like they are the one individual, they can act in a certain way, and they are in that way the media try to objectify the women. Media often portrays women in a vulnerable and easily overpowered situations. Some images will focus only on the part of the body like a leg, neck or headless torso that constitutes the objectification and introduces the concept of fetishization. it intends to reduce the women to disempowered parts of their anatomy. Like when it comes to electronic media, most of the soap operas, Indian televisions, it's very sexist. They are called, it's like even if you show the female members in certain serials also, they're female also, they try to act like a male members, they try to control the entire family members. All serials, if you look at the all serials in tradition of male chauvinism and discourage women to aim for more than a loving husband, happy children and modern home. Thus that in that way only they try to show a woman, and most of the women they are showed in a very sacrificed women, that is highlighted. Even when it comes to advertising also, the women are shown as in certain way, male are shown in a certain way. Mostly the women are shown as in that femininity, and male they are shown in within all masculine characters. This shows that, that's why we are clearly explained in this block, the entire block, that how we need to study the media from a gender perspective. That will certainly help our learners to critically analyze the media, and by analyzing the media we could able to bring an alternative perspective in the media to sensitize the entire society. Thank you so much for watching this session. Thank you.